solidarity for our indigenous relatives having their land back, as well as us having our. The All African People's Revolutionary Party is about the liberation and unification of Africa. And that's what we are about. So today we normally bring you a political education topic, but in light of the celebration just happened of African Liberation Day that happens every May 25th, we are going to re-show and celebrate African Liberation Day in the broadcast today. African Liberation Day is a worldwide Pan-African event, and it is celebrated worldwide, internationally. If you missed it, it's great that you're here today because you will be able to view it. The whole purpose is for a unified socialist Africa. It was founded in 1958 by Kwame Nkrumah, and it's the symbolization of the determination of our people to be liberated and for us to be fighting for our freedom. And so we're excited to bring that to you. We also want to share that we are still doing our elder care our elder care community defense program. So we're continuing to take donations if you want to donate. So we are taking care of our elders as well as African families during the pandemic. We are also recruiting Africans to be involved in this work as well. I apologize, comrades. My dog got a little excited there. So we are recruiting comrades to be part of the ARP, as well as recruiting comrades to be part of the community defense, where we are serving our community because we know we will be taking care of ourselves. And we are, so again, excited for you to be here with us. Enjoy the African Liberation Day celebration that will be broadcasted to you. Share it with your friends, your networks, your peers. If you missed it Monday, so glad that you tuned in today. Thank you, comrades.
Tambiko, and first we honor the Creator, the Most High, by the many names we know Him by, and we say Ashe, which means so be it.
Calling out our ancestors. Let's hear the names, and you should call out the names of your ancestors.
Kwame Ture,
Stephen Biko,
Winnie Mandela,
Marcus Garvey,
Mowina Soa,
Kwame Nkrumah,
Marie-Jeanne et la Moitié, Tatine Sela, Amilcar Cabral, Kwame Nkrumah,
Ya Asantewaa,
Sekou Touré, Marcus Garvey, and the millions of women over thousands of years who have suffered oppression under patriarchal systems of human exploitation.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe.
We call out the names of the ancestors unknown. We say Ashe.
Ashe.
We call out the names of those that we don't remember. Ashe.
Ashe.
All our ancestors through the Middle Passage.
Ashe.
All those fortunate enough to be buried on the continent. All those who await justice.
Ashe.
Those who are yet unborn.
Ashe.
That's it, the last one. Ashe.
Ashe.
As we
Ashe.
gave thanks to our ancestors, thanks to all our ancestors, we say Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Ayi Bobo, Ayi Bobo, Ayi Bobo.
announces something important is getting ready to happen. Whenever we hold a ceremony, an important event, the drum call announces the time to begin has come.
We're here to honor our ancestors. Our ancestors are our people, our relatives who have gone on, who have passed from this earth into another realm. Without our ancestors, we would not be where we are today. We are calling upon our ancestors who fought for us, who died for our freedom, who continue to fight on our behalf. We honor them and we thank them. All praises due to Almighty God and the honoring of our ancestors. As I salute our ancestors from the four corners of the universe. We honor our ancestors and we pour the water into the ground. It's a libation, giving honor and thanks to all our ancestors. And as you listen to us do the libations honoring our ancestors, you should quietly be still and call out the names of all your ancestors.
We pour libation Tambico, and first we honor the Creator, the Most High, by the many names we know Him by, and we say Ashe, which means so be it.
Calling out our ancestors. Let's hear the names, and you should call out the names of your ancestors.
Kwame Ture,
Stephen Biko,
Winnie Mandela,
Marcus Garvey,
Mawina Soa,
Kwame Nkrumah,
Marie-Jeanne et Lamartine, Tatine Sela, Amilcar Cabral, Kwame Nkrumah,
Ya Asantewaa,
Sekou Touré, Marcus Garvey, and the millions of women over thousands of years who have suffered.
Alrighty, greetings. My name is Onya Sanu. I am an organizer with the All African People's Revolutionary Party and the All African Women's Revolutionary Union, speaking to you from occupied Tiwa territory. Where is that, you ask? That is also known as Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the Tiwa are the people who actually own the land that Europeans built Albuquerque on. As an African person, as an African woman, I understand what it's like to have your land stolen. And so we always want to start off by acknowledging the original owners of the land which we occupy, because they are still the owners and they're still around. Once again, I'm Onya Sanu. I'm a member of the All African People's Revolutionary Party. And this is the All African Liberation Day, the African Liberation Day international broadcast. This is the very first time the All African People's Revolutionary Party is presenting a virtual version of ALD. And we are, of course, doing that because the pandemic has made it unsafe to gather our people, but we refuse to let this day, this most important holiday in the struggle for African liberation and the struggle for Pan-Africanism, pass without a commemoration. We could not do that. And so AFRP organizers and our comrades all over the world have been working frantically to put together this webcast for y'all, learning all kinds of new technologies on the fly, juggling time zones, juggling translations, juggling separate teams and separate continents. And we put together a really incredible program for y'all to celebrate African Liberation Day. Who is the All African People's Revolutionary Party? Well, we are an independent, mass, revolutionary, Pan-African political party based in Africa, founded by Kwame Nkrumah 51 years ago this year. And our political objective is Pan-Africanism, which we define as one unified socialist Africa. We are a mass, permanent African revolutionary socialist organization. And African Liberation Day is when the worldwide Pan-African movement comes together to celebrate our struggle as a people, to celebrate our progress as a people, and to think about and discuss and just sort of theorize around how far we've come and the work we have yet to do to realize our objective of Pan-Africanism and the liberation of Africa and African people everywhere. So every single year, African Liberation Day has a specific theme that we identify based on how we are being attacked or what strategies we should use in order to advance our struggle. And so this year, we want to call out an extremely dangerous tactic of imperialism that has been targeting Africa particularly, but also anti-imperialist nations all over the world. A tactic of imperialism called sanctions, economic sanctions. You might hear that word and you might think it's like a gentler alternative to boots on the ground, a gentler alternative to outright invasion. That's usually how the capitalist media sells it to people to cover up its crimes. But the fact of the matter is that sanctions are not a kinder or gentle alternative to anything. Sanctions are a weapon of war. Sanctions deliberately target civilians, deliberately target the most vulnerable segments of a sanctioned nation's population. So women and oppressed genders, children, elders, disabled folks. The most vulnerable targets within a civilian population are the targets that suffer the most under economic sanctions that are imposed by the United States, by the European Union, and by the United Nations. All the main actors of the imperialist exploitation that is currently recolonizing our continent. So today we're going to have a number of speakers from all over the African revolutionary world, from all over the anti-imperialist world. We're going to be speaking to you on this theme, on the imperialist sanctions on Zimbabwe, Cuba, and Venezuela are acts of war, and Africans everywhere have an obligation to fight. Some housekeeping notes. This stream is being presented to you thanks to the magic of technology on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube all at the same time. We encourage you to interact in the comments as you watch the live stream. I see your comments coming in. Greetings, Maxine Davis from APRP Britain. Greetings to Monica Stevens from APRP New Mexico. Greetings to our comrade Pedro de España, the Cuban ambassador to Ghana. We deeply appreciate y'all for joining us on the stream, and we are really excited to share this program with you shortly. So please interact in the comments. Let us know what you think about what you're watching. If you feel you have some questions as the stream is coming up, drop that in the comments, and there's going to be a team collecting those questions for answering on a later date. For the purposes of time and to respect the time of our many international speakers who are coming to y'all from all different time zones, we're going to collect those questions and we're going to answer them at a later date that we'll announce after African Liberation Day. And also, because we understand that we are revolutionaries, because we understand that revolutionary Pan-Africanist politics are a threat to capitalism, are a threat to imperialism, are a threat to global white power and colonialism, we understand that there might be some folks joining the stream with the intent to cause disruptions. And I would just say that I recommend that you not try trolling an APRP event. But if you do, we have a team in the comments ready to clean that up. So please feel free to engage freely. Please feel free to drop your questions and comments as you're asking. We are really, really excited for this program. It's going to be excellent. And so if you joined us a little bit early, you probably saw that we were playing some solidarity messages. We were playing statements from our comrades all over the world, sending in videos, sending in statements, discussing the occasion of African Liberation Day. As I mentioned, the All African People's Revolutionary Party is a Pan-African revolutionary socialist party, and we are also internationalist. We strongly believe in the need for international solidarity between oppressed nations all over this world, struggling against imperialism colonialism, and capitalism worldwide. We recognize that the struggle to liberate Africa from colonialism, from capitalism, and imperialism in all of its forms is one front in a larger struggle to liberate humanity and all life on Earth from exploitation once and for all. The liberation of Africa and the liberation of African people is our contribution to the global struggle to liberate humanity and all life on Earth. So because we are internationalists, we have formed a number of deep principled relationships with anti-imperialist and socialist organizations all over the world, from struggling organizations that represent every region of the continent. We played a couple of those for you in the first 30 minutes. We have received many more. We unfortunately do not have the time on this broadcast to show them all to you. But if you are interested in viewing all of these messages, please visit bit.ly/ALD Solidarity. I'm going to put that in the chat because I can talk to y'all as I'm talking. And if you want to see them all at a later date. But for now, I want to shout out all the organizations that took time to reach out to us and say, Happy Liberation Day, Happy African Liberation Day, and we unite with the All African People's Revolutionary Party. So shout out to the Amicale Cabral Ideological Institute, Ideological School Movement in Nigeria. Shout out to Black Alliance for Peace, based in the United States, a Pan-African organization on the forefront of the global struggle against the US presence in Africa, of the global struggle against AFRICOM, making extremely important domestic and international connections in the struggle for African people. Shout out to the Economic Fighters League of Ghana. Shout out to the Haiti Solidarity Network, constantly illuminating the continuous struggle of Africans on the ground in Haiti against the US imposed dictatorship, against the US economic sanctions that have destroyed that country. Shout out to Haiti Solidarity Network. Thank you for your message. Shout out to the Kwame Nkrumah Youth Organization. Shout out to the Arab Resource and Organizing Center, speaking on the Palestinian National Liberation Movement, Free Palestine, Smash Zionism, period. Shout out to the Democratic Party of Guinea, RDA, the party of Sekou Touré. Shout out to the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party. Shout out to the Revolutionary Socialist League of Kenya. Shout out to the Sahara Youth Union of the Western Sahara, Free Western Sahara. Shout out to the Friends of the Congo for your incredible work elevating the struggle of the Congo. The Congo is being exploited by a whole array of Western imperialist powers for its coltan, it's for its cobalt, where African youth are being enslaved by Western tech corporations to produce your smartphones, to produce your Fitbit, to produce your Prius. Friends of the Congo is shouting that out. Shout out, as always, to our comrades in the Pan-African Congress of Azania. And shout out to the Interreligious Foundation for Community Organizations and Pastors for Peace, a Cuba Solidarity organization, for your statement of solidarity on African Liberation Day. So as I mentioned, you can watch all of the solidarity videos I just shouted out on your own by just visiting bit.ly/ALD Solidarity to view all of the videos in a YouTube playlist. But to move on and to officially start our program, I have a very, very special speaker to present to y'all. The African Party for the Independence of Guinea Bissau and Cape Verde successfully waged an armed revolutionary struggle against Portuguese colonialism and capitalism in Guinea Bissau under the leadership of Amicale Cabral. The PIGC is still a revolutionary Pan-African Socialist Party. And so we are very, very, very pleased to present to you Domingo Simones Pereira, the current president of the African Party for the Independence of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, or the PIGC.
Revolutionary greetings, comrade organizers of AAPRP, comrade Fernando González Yort, living hero of the Cuban Five and president of the ICAP, comrades of the Polisario Front, comrades of Africa, Asia, Latin and North America, Caribbean and Europe, comrade participants. As a great strategist of Pan-Africanism, Ozagefo Kwame Nkrumah called for political military coordination. He assisted Amilcar Cabral with CONCP, OSPAL, and called for the formation of the AAPRP. We want to sincerely thank our comrades who have dedicated their lives and energies to establishing and developing an All-African People's Revolutionary Party, an All-African Committee for Political Coordination to totally liberate and unify our great mother Africa. We'd like for the world to know that PIGC today is still the same Pan-Africanist revolutionary PIGC that was praised during the time of Amilcar Cabral. There are many faithful who are sacrificing and continuing to work, and thoughts of Amilcar Cabral facing all types of harsh conditions. The enemy of the people is doing any and everything to destroy the PIGC, knowing that PIGC is the main weapon that defends the people's interests. As our enemy doesn't sleep, we too stay awake and vigilant. The enemies of humanity continuously attack the PIGC like they attack Cuba, like they attack Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Palestine, Sahara, Africa, Latin America, and all progressive forces in the world. The attacks against the PIGC are not unique. Imperialists attack every organization in the world that defends the people's interest against plunder of natural and human resources. While a lot of propaganda tries to make appear that PIGC is weak, the fact of the matter is that it continues to organize today, winning victory after victory until the final one. The PIGC and PICV, our brothers from Cape Verde, are among the very few parties in Africa that lost state power and regained it. In the case of PIGC, we have been victimized by the coup d'etats of various types, but organized to regain power more than once, and we will regain it again. It's clear that what Cabral, Nkrumah, Fidel, and others told us years ago is more relevant now than ever. They insisted on systematic political ideological training. We always agreed, but only through our own practice have we come to really understand how fundamental it is. They insisted on political military coordination. Our enemy coordinates against us. It behoves us to coordinate tightly and systematically against our enemy in favor of our people. Our struggle now is much more complicated than that. We must be more sophisticated. Our people must take ownership. People organized and united can never be defeated. Our victories have all resulted from the people taking ownership of the revolution. The attempted coup d'etat in Venezuela earlier this month was defeated by the organized people. The Cuban Revolution is defended by the organized conscious people. The Polisario Front will liberate Sahara with organized conscious people. Palestine will be free with organized conscious people. There is no shortcut. We will defeat sanctions by the organized conscious people. The theme of this year, imperialist sanctions on Zimbabwe, Cuba, and Venezuela, are the acts of war Africans everywhere must fight, is relevant for us. Our eternal leader, Comrade Amilcar Cabral, teaches us that as long as imperialist domination continues to exist, there is something rotten in the heart of humanity, which means that if we women and men of goodwill, defenders of our culture of people, have not yet accomplished our duty on this planet, there is something rotten in the heart of the humanity, imperialist domination. It's because men of goodwill, defenders of the culture of people, have not yet accomplished their duty on this planet. Comrade Amilcar Cabral taught us that the PIGC is the political organized expression of our people's culture. The program of PIGC since its inception includes the objection of African unity. It declared to the world that we are democratic socialists. We shall work for it until Africa is totally liberated, unified and socialist, belonging to African people and contributing to humanity. We cannot wait until Africa is free for our mothers, sisters, daughters to be emancipated. The emancipation of African women is not only a precondition for the liberation of Africa, it's a fundamental to social justice and progress. Our party program insists that we concretely organize against exploitation of women. We have made progress, but still have a long way to go. We shall win this struggle side by side with our sister comrades. Our people, militants and leaders must know why we fight, what our vision of our new society is. During our glorious armed struggle of national liberation, political commissioners always accompanied our commanders. Amílcar Cabral held ideological seminars for cadres that were praised by revolutionaries around the world for his ability to break down complex concepts in common single language. We shall make the text of these ideological seminars available for all participants in today's ALD seminar. While carrying our ideological training, we also had to carry out professional and technical training. We only had a few people who knew how to read and write, and almost no doctors, no technicians, very few teachers. We had to train nurses, medical technicians, teachers, administration. More than 90% of our people were illiterate. We needed all these professions, which is another remarkable character of our glorious armed struggle, a people's war waged by peasants who were for the most part illiterate, but had a level of culture high enough to know that they must be free at any cost. We had liberated zones where we had to take care of the day-to-day responsibilities of health, education, people's stores for medicine, food, clothing, radios. People have to have houses and justice committees. During all of this, we had to defend via people's militias and take offensive with our armed militants. The PIGC had its main headquarters in Conakry, which helped with our political military coordination. There were representatives of MLSTP, MPLA, Frelimo, in addition to other parties leading liberation movements, such as UPC of Cameroon. Embassies of socialist countries were there: China, Cuba, USSR, Eastern Europe, socialist countries, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Democratic Republic of Germany, what we call the East Germany, the Democratic Republic of Korea, and others. Kwame Nkrumah became the co-president, along with the President Ahmed Sékou Touré. Amílcar Cabral and other PIGC leaders and responsibles were able to participate in coordination meetings and ideological seminars. African Liberation Day was founded at the first Conference of Independent African States in April '58. Months later, in December, the first All-African People's Conference for the Liberation Movement, Amílcar Cabral was there representing the PIE before we added the GC. There, African Freedom Day, as it was called then, was ratified, a day for the African masses to rededicate themselves to the total liberation of Africa. Since then, not only did the PIGC participate in all subsequent All-African People's Conference, Tunisia and Egypt, but also PIGC organized African Freedom Days. When the Organization of African Unity was founded in 1963, Amílcar Cabral was there. The name African Freedom Day was changed to African Liberation Day. Since 1963, the PIGC has organized many manifestations of African Liberation Day and is honored to participate in the one today. Revolutionaries show that while we scientifically struggle against diseases such as the new coronavirus, we must continue to organize against COVID sanctions, COVID coup d'etats, and all forms of COVID exploitation. Again, we congratulate and thank the organizers of today's activities for our creativeness in utilizing technology for the people's benefit, people's gains, to unite revolutionary and progressive forces from various continents, as we said, Africa, Asia, Europe, Northern Latin America, and Caribbean islands. A people united will never be defeated. Kwame Nkrumah was right. Unity presupposes organization. In order to unite, we must be organized. We must have political and ideological coordination to defeat our enemies, or coordinate politically, military, technologically, and so on. The PIGC emerged, developed, and contributed to political military coordination. Simultaneously, the PIGC co-founded Pan-African and anti-imperialist instruments of political military coordination, CONCP. The Conference of Nationalist Organization of the Portuguese Colonies was the first in Africa to coordinate armed struggle for national liberation in various areas, Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, along with the independence movement in São Tomé and Príncipe. Kwame Nkrumah refers to this in his basic book, a classic book, Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare, on page 53, just 2 pages before his section on the need for coordinated revolutionary action, where he calls for an all-African People's Revolutionary Party. The PIGC also co-founded OSPAL, Organization of Solidarity with the People of Africa, Asia, and Latin America in Havana, Cuba, 1966. It was established at the first Tricontinental Conference to coordinate anti-imperialist struggles in 3 continents. Nkrumah was one of the architects of this, along with Fidel Castro. He refers to this on page 57 of the Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare. It was at the historic conference in the front of revolutionaries from Africa, Asia, and Latin America that Commander Fidel shouted, "The most brilliant and clearest of Africa is Compañero Amílcar Cabral." Amílcar Cabral was assassinated on the eve of the independence, 20 of January 1973. 8 months later, the PIGC unilaterally proclaimed independence on the 24th September 1973. The glorious armed struggle continued for almost a year afterwards, as an independent country occupied by foreign occupiers. Although the Portuguese colonialists were only in the urban areas, as the PIGC controlled about 70% of Guinea-Bissau. After conquering our unilateral independence, the liberated zone served as the nucleus for our new party state. When we took over all of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, our challenge was to organize the popular masses, to integrate into party structures, become transformed via participation in the mass organization and party structures, utilizing creative ways to constantly politically educate them via radio, ideological seminars, militant formation, political education courses, and schools, interchanged at youth camps in the socialist countries, and so on. Imperialists continued their struggle against our newly independent republic and used their greatest weapon, traitors and betrayers. Those faithful to the PIGC continued with us, our greatest weapon, the people, led by our culture. The approach of Amílcar Cabral, in coordination with great revolutionary Pan-Africanists such as Osagyefo, Kwame Nkrumah, Sékou Touré, Ahmed Bembela, Gamal Nasser, and anti-imperialists such as Mao Zedong, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, and party states such as Ghana, Guinea-Conakry, Algeria, Egypt, Cuba, USSR, Eastern Europe, Algeria, Guinea, the People's Democratic Republic of Korea was seriously challenged. During the period where revolutionary parties lost state power in USSR, Eastern Europe countries in the early 1990s, we faced serious challenges. Structural adjustment programs were imposed upon us. Our state structures became weakened. Our party was attacked left, right, and by traitors from the inside. We continued organizing our people's culture. As we're adjusting to this challenge, revolutionary parties without state power in the USSR, Eastern Europe countries in the early 1990s. Meanwhile, Guinea-Bissau was already going through structural adjustment programs, followed by political liberalism, where multipartyism was established. The party had to be separate from the state. Most of the resources that the PIGC accumulated, printing presses, radio, economic projects, and so on, became state property. We had to end militant formation, political ideological training of our youth at the schools. Private schools were opened, followed by establishment scouts, which dealt a serious blow to our pioneers. Next, our youth organization in the hundreds were established, challenging Jack as the vanguard of the youth. Different opposition parties and eternally financed NGOs were formed. During this period, our party was seriously weakened, along with many of its brothers, sisters, and allied organizations in the socialist countries. There was very little political coordination taking place. We faced serious challenges. Fortunately, we won the first multi-party election of 1994. But in 1998, a political military conflict devastated the country for more than 1 year. Afterwards, the PIGC lost both the presidential and legislative elections of 1999 and 2000. Finally, we're out of state power. Most observers screamed that the PIGC was finished. They said that once historical parties lose state power, they never regain it again. They were wrong. PIGC is the political manifestation of our people's culture. Our ideology comes from our culture. Amílcar Cabral taught us national liberation and culture, that our culture is the fruit of our history, like a flower is to the plant. It is a fact of our history and is a factor of our making history. We continue to work under very harsh conditions. With most of our former resources in the hands of those who run the state. They use the national radio and newspaper that PIGC brought into existence to talk bad about PIGC, with the strategy of trying to convince our almighty people that it was a waste of time to sacrifice in the PIGC to transform our society. They attempted to blame all the problems of the underdevelopment on the PIGC. They attempted to isolate the PIGC from the revolutionary and progressive forces of the world. Yet, in 2004, we won the relative majority on the legislative election. In 2008, we won the overwhelming majority. And in 2009, we won the presidential election. We had the three stones needed to place our cooking pot: the legislative, the executive, and the presidency. In 2012, after winning the first round of presidential election, they carried out another coup d'etat against the PIGC and its government. We struggled heroically to regain state power, again in 2014, and began making agreements with revolutionary and progressive regimes towards independent development, but had state power violently snatched from it again in a palace coup in 2015, orchestrated by traitors in cahoots with imperialists and neo-colonialists. We relatively regained state power in 2019, but recently was victimized by another coup last February 2020. Now, once again, the presidency and illegitimate so-called government is controlled by anti-people's force. Those who won the elections are in the opposition, while those who lost are the ones ruling. Even during these coup d'etats against state power, the PIGC still has a relative control of the legislature, ANP, the National People's Assembly, and wields popular political and cultural power in the society. The neo-colonialist president of Senegal, along with other neo-colonialist regimes in West Africa and other parts, orchestrated a group of puppets in Guinea Bissau to abuse the electoral process and dislodged the PIGC's democratically elected government. They didn't even hide their meetings in Dakar, Senegal, prior to and during the November elections and December 2019 runoffs. The elections revealed a number of serious irregularities that led the PIGC candidate, Domingos Simões Pereira, myself, to challenge before the Supreme Court of Justice, who, in its verdict, ordered the ab initio and uninterrupted tabulation of the results, which means recounting of votes and the preparation of subsequent records for the National Election Commission. While the electoral litigation was taking place, interest groups linked to drug trafficking and transnational crime executed a new coup d'etat, seized governmental institutions by military force, and committed acts including the coercion and enticement of the president of the CNE, threats to other holders of sovereign organs, especially the prime minister and head of the legal and legitimate government, as well as judges of the Supreme Court of Justice, among others. Neocolonialist and presidential candidate Umar Sissoko Embalo, a retired soldier, self-proclaimed himself as a president of Guinea Bissau. The armed forces presidential guards were deployed to the Supreme Court building, to the National People's Assembly, and government facilities to prevent its verdict without the orientations of the Army General Chief of Staff, while the residence of the democratically elected governmental officials were invaded by soldiers. While the National People's Assembly legislature, ANP, was awaiting on Supreme Court to issue its verdict, one of the coup plotters, who served as the first vice prime minister, usurped the constitutional powers of the ANP president, illegally convened a so-called special session of the ANP at a hotel, and symbolically inaugurated presidential candidate Umar Sissoko Embalo without representation of any other state organs. When the title of ex-president of the Republic, José Mário Vaz, signed a letter of resignation and left the presidential palace on the 27th February, the ANP reacted by convening a parliamentary session with a quorum the next day, 28th of February, and filled the vacancy with the ANP president Cipriano Cassama to serve as interim president, as called for in the Constitution. It should be noted that this parliamentary session was witnessed by representatives of the UN, the ECOWAS, the African Union, CPLP, and ambassadors of most of the embassies that reside in Bissau. In short, most democratic regimes recognized Cipriano Cassama as the legitimate interim president of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau. On the other hand, none of them, except Senegal and the Gambia, sent representatives to the illegal and constitutional symbolic so-called inauguration of presidential candidate Umar Sissoko Embalo at the hotel. Interim president of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau, Cipriano Cassama, was not given presidential guard protection. He only had a handful of Guinea-Bissau soldiers and less than 10 ECOWAS interposition forces called the Economic soldiers. Within 48 hours, soldiers from the Presidential Guard invaded the ANP and the Supreme Court, while changing the security assigned to the interim president, coupled with death threats to him and family. As a result of coercion, he resigned on the 1st of March. The ECOWAS interposition forces called ECOMIB stood by idle. Normally, in resolving disputes in West Africa, the UN Security Council temporarily delegates its authority to the African Union, who in turn delegates it to ECOWAS. When ECOWAS is too slow or takes improper decisions, the AU and/or UN Security Council will veto it. It should be underlined that the UN Secretary General position reiterates the UN Security Council's position to wait for the Guinea-Bissau Supreme Court's verdict on the presidential electoral dispute. In February, ECOWAS issued a statement calling on all stakeholders to wait on Guinea-Bissau Supreme Court to issue its verdict. Neo-colonialist president of Senegal didn't wait. He was the first to receive Umaru Sissoco Embalo as president of Guinea-Bissau, while most of the world doesn't recognize him as president, still waiting for the Supreme Court to decide and conclude the electoral process. Failure to respect the decision of the highest judicial body in the country and the principle of legality is absolutely unacceptable in Guinea-Bissau, as this would weaken the fundamental pillar of justice and institutions. That is why the PIGC and its candidate will continue to fight for electoral truth through the use of the democratic instruments that the Constitution and the laws of the country put at their disposal. On the initiative of the UN Security Council, ECOWAS issued a press release stating that a high-level delegation would come to Guinea-Bissau. In response, the coup makers, a legitimate spokesperson, issued a response saying that the ECOWAS delegation was not welcome in Guinea-Bissau. They hid and still to date have not come. Not only that, on the orders of coup regime, ECOMI packed up its bags, ready to leave Guinea-Bissau, but not before receiving medals from the coup regime. In March, ECOWAS made a 180-degree turn and recognized him as the winner of the December 2019 runoff elections and called upon him to form another government by 22nd of May that reflects the winner of the 2019 legislative elections. Umaru Sissoco Embalo is doing everything but that. In short, we have a military regime in power with showcase civilian figures, including a retired soldier using Guinea-Bissau for transnational crimes. Reportedly, tons of drugs have already been received by the military in southern Guinea-Bissau. Persecution has begun and journalists are included. The coronavirus prevention team and contingency plan was dismantled at a time where the confirmed cases of COVID-19 was in neighboring country. As a consequence, now the confirmed cases exceed 1,000, with the number growing exponentially, not counting the unconfirmed cases, with one small isolation center precariously built only after many confirmed cases. The overwhelming majority haven't been tested, while those who have been confirmed to have COVID-19 still reside in their homes, spreading the virus. In collaboration with the international community, we seek solutions that will help restore constitutional order and put an end to the situation of illegality and anarchy in which Guinea-Bissau is currently plunged. This attitude will be in line with internationally accepted norms and the position of the United Nations, which has been expressed by the Security Council towards the restoration of democratic order and the functioning of the institutions of the Republic, starting with the organs of sovereignty, the establishment of international forums capable of ensuring the functioning of the organs and ensuring that the Constitution of the Republic and laws are respected until the consolidation of democratic power. These elections are very important for the political stability and future of Guinea-Bissau and Africa. The next president of the Republic must be one that the people truly choose. Although it seems gloomy, truth crushed to the heart will rise again. While all the tactics that will be employed can be predicted, one thing is sure. The strategy is to use the PIGC ideological and political power and organize the people to regain state power. This must be secured in the framework of political military coordination on a Pan-African and anti-imperialist scale. We are in this together. We must intensify our political and ideological coordination. The PIGC counts on you, and you can count on the PIGC. We thank you again for your creative efforts to organize this international forum in commemoration of the 62nd anniversary of African Liberation Day. Long live Pan-Africanism, eternal glory to all Pan-Africanists, long live African Liberation Day, viva PAIGC, viva political ideological coordination among revolutionary parties. I thank you all.
Thank you to Domingo Simones Pereira, president of the PIGC, once again for sending in that powerful statement for the commemoration of African Liberation Day. That man just laid out the blueprint to build Pan-Africanism. That man just laid out the blueprint for how revolutionary anti-imperialist Pan-African organizations are attacked by the forces of capitalism. I hope that y'all are paying attention. We salute the PIGC for their continued work to liberate Africa, to liberate African people, and also for their revolutionary success decisively defeating European imperialism in the always have revolutionary cultural work as part of our programs. We understand that art must be used in the service of the revolution. Cultural work must be used in service of the African Revolution. And so we are very, very pleased to present to you our very first cultural performance. Empress Pro is a poet, a singer, a dancer, and a theater practitioner based
Love yourself enough to let it go. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Stand on your ground and put yourself first. For a change, don't dwell on negative things. My dear, respect yourself to make it up. A point that never lose yourself. Love yourself enough to let it go. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. We not hold no grudge, promote no fights. All we got to do is to share. Let's love one another, care for each other. All we got to do is prepare. We keep on pushing and progressing like we'll never stop. I'm still in this paper, so we'll take it to the top. And put a smile on your face and spread your wings and fly. Baby, right now, never lose your faith. Never lose yourself. Love yourself enough to let it go. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Stand on your ground and put yourself first. For a change, don't dwell on negative things. My dear, respect yourself to make it up. A point that you spread positivity. Baby, it's alright now. Never lose your faith. Never lose yourself. Love yourself enough to let it go. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Baby, it's alright now. Never lose your faith. Never lose yourself. Love yourself enough to let it go. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Baby, it's alright now. Never lose your faith. Never lose yourself. Love yourself enough to let it go. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Baby, it's alright now. Never lose your faith. Never lose yourself. Love yourself enough to let it go. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge. Never hold a grudge.
All right. I want to welcome you to the international panel. We're going to be talking about this, really the theme panel. I want to welcome and thank all the performers before us who just performed.
We want to see